I'm gonna be hardcore Nuzlocking Pokemon Sapphire with only dark types. I'm ChaoticMeatball, rules are in the description, and here's the breakdown on our encounters. We're looking at a lucky 7 Pokemon in Mightyena, Shiftry, Sableye, Cacturne, Sharpedo, Troodon, and Absol. Unfortunately though, there are some caveats here. Firstly, only 6 of the 7 are going to be available as Shiftry's exclusive to Ruby and Sableye to Sapphire. Secondly, we're only able to get 2 encounters before the 5th gym in Petalburg City, regardless of version. So how are we even going to tackle this challenge? Well, I'm going to start with Sapphire and see how it goes. If I cannot beat Roxanne consistently, then I'll be hopping over to Ruby to grab Seedot as an additional encounter before her, as it evolves into the Dark-type Nuzleaf at level 14, while Roxanne's level cap is 15. However, that means we do lose out on Sableye, our only out to Brawly due to being a part Ghost type. These hurdles will make for a rather difficult run, but we've got a full team's worth of Pokemon, so we should be able to do it. Make sure to like this video, let's smash 3,000 likes as it helps the video get through the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't already since we're very close to 200,000, and comment down below on what other unfinished Monotype hardcore Nuzlocks or other challenges you'd like to see in the future. If you're unsure what I mean, there's a spreadsheet in the description to help. Thank you for watching, but before we jump in, the time has come to talk about this video's sponsor, and I know you've heard the name before, but can you guess what it is? Is it a VPN? Maybe a new set of earbuds? No, today's sponsor is none other than Raid Shadow Legends. Now, I would be incredibly surprised if you haven't heard about Raid before, but do you have any idea on what you're missing out on? Literally hundreds of champions to collect, a crazy in-depth RPG battle system, graphics that can compete with what you find on a console or PC, intense PvE boss fights, lots of stuff. Sounds pretty good, right? I actually did a sponsorship for Raid a long time ago, and thought it would be fun to take a look back at it. Now, unless you've been watching YouTube for only about 5 minutes, chances are you've heard of Raid Shadow Legends. Still a solid segue. In fact, Raid is celebrating their 2-year anniversary since blasting through every other mobile game on the market to become one of the best. They've really kept that trend going, celebrating its 4th anniversary right now. And they're doing so with tons of events that they're hosting in-game, like the Champion Training event to level up your champions for those really tough battles, as well as the Artifact Enhancement event to give them the best armor possible. But what does... Oh wow, my hair was so long back then, jeez. This have to do with Pokemon, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you did, since this game has so many champions to collect, over 500 in fact. Over 500? Jeez, that's so long ago. Now Raid has over 700, and my collection has certainly grown since. So you could do a Professor Oak's challenge in this game if you really wanted to. You can even experience the brand new Clan vs. Clan tournament, still one of my favorite features they've introduced, where you and your friends can battle each other's teams to see who comes out the very best, like no one ever was. And if that wasn't enough for you, they're also releasing the first champion in the badass-looking Shadowkin faction, which I can't wait to see, and I'm definitely going to try to get my hands on them. The Shadowkin are still one of my favorite factions, but I've also really been enjoying the Sylvan Watchers who have been released since this promo. Probably has something to do with the fact that I like the Sylvan archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember doing this sponsorship back then, and I'm really thankful for Raid supporting me then, since it really helped me as a creator by improving my recording setup, allowing me to make better videos for you guys. Much how like I've grown as a creator, so has Raid Shadow Legends, growing and evolving constantly to be the best game it can be. And now with it celebrating its 4th anniversary, there has never been a better time to get into Raid. There's loads to get excited about. Dedicated offers, free gifts, promo codes, events, and a brand new fusion event where you guys can get your hands on an anniversary-themed legendary champion. You'll also be able to take a trip down memory lane with a recap video of your stats in Raid. I'm looking forward to seeing how many champions I've pulled since last year. Oh, and for Amazon Prime members who just got Genbo, keep an eye out for the next drop with some powerful Savage gear. It's available until March 30th. With all this exciting stuff and more coming to Raid, if you haven't started playing yet, then what are you waiting for? Use my link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses. We're talking an epic champion Kellen the Shrike, and other useful things like energy refills, magic potions, and XP brews. And since it's Raid's birthday, the gifts keep coming! All new and existing players can get a bunch of free birthday gifts. Once you're in-game after clicking on the links, just enter promo code 4YearsRaid to get your hands on 4 legendary skill tomes, plus other useful stuff. Once you're in and crushing your enemies, come find me under the name Chaotic Meat, and if you're fast enough, you can join my clan. So just hit my link in the description and I'll see you on the battlefield. With all that said, let's go catch some edgy boys and bite our way through the Hoenn region. So, what is our starter choice going to be due to none of them having the required typing? Well, as always, we're going to be going with the water-type Pokemon, this time Mudkip, due to having really good access to HM moves, there being 8 of them in the Hoenn region, with 6 required for traversal and finishing the game. After whipping Maze Bum with Mudkip though, we're clear to get Pokeballs and capture ourselves a Poochyena on Route 101 as our first encounter. This Poochyena isn't actually terrible, as we've gotten a neutral nature and hardy, so nothing will be inhibiting our attacks. What will be inhibiting us is the fact that the Dark type for some reason is special before the Physical Special split in Gen 4. This makes our stab typing practically useless, seeing as we'll be EV training Poochyena in attack and speed, go figure. Thankfully, we do have access to physical coverage moves like Return and Dig with an attack boosting move in Howl, which should make things KOable in the mid to late game. Oh, and to rub salt in the wound, Mightyena won't get access to Crunch until level 47, which is the cap before the Elite Four. Hence the nickname Midiana. This gal is mid at best. Sadly though, that's it for encounters before Roxanne, only a single doggo and nothing else. So for now, we've got 2 required trainers before Roxanne. Those being a youngster on Route 102 with a level 5 Zigzagoon, and the Team Aqua Grunt in the Petalburg Woods with a level 9 Poochyena, both yielding a speed and attack EV respectively, which is perfect so that we don't give any useless EVs to Poochyena, as other than those, we're only KOing level 2 Poochyena on Route 101 for attack, yielding 15 EXP each, and on the same route level 2 Zigzagoon yielding 17 EXP each. Gotta be as efficient as possible with your EXP at the beginning here. The more attack power I have access to, the better. After getting him right up to the edge of level 13 going into 14, we're good to proceed on to destroying this youngster, getting through the catching tutorial, and kicking this grunt's bum in the forest to get to Roxanne. Even with this much setup though, we are not going to have an easy time here. We do have Bite, thankfully, a special stab way to take care of these high defense rock types, as well as an Oran Berry for the held item to have 10 additional HP, but this is still not a guaranteed win. So after edging Poochyena up to the edge of level 15 going into 16, we're ready for battle. Roxanne leads off with Geodude as I go with Poochyena's Bite, doing half damage as Rock Tomb nearly does the same and reduces my speed, though we're given a saving grace as she goes for Defense Curl next turn, allowing Bite to, of course, get a low roll and not KO. However, I think this actually saves us from losing, as now she wastes both of her potions on Geodude while I reciprocate with 2 more bites, finishing her with a 5th and final bite as Nosepass enters last. Unfortunately, she's faster thanks to that Rock Tomb speed drop, though she does miss with her first Rock Throw, allowing for Bite to land for around 1/4 damage. Another merciful turn comes our way in the form of Harden, letting a second bite land to bring her to half, but the third time's the charm for her as Rock Throw hits and lands for Poochyena to go down to 11 HP as Bite hits for another 1/4, allowing for the Oran Berry to trigger. Sadly though, if we miss the range on Bite, we are losing due to her outspeeding. And if you know this channel, you know we always miss ranges. And would you look at that? We do this exact thing as Rock Throw connects. However, you will also know my luck in Pokemon runs is ridiculously bonkers everywhere else, hence why on the follow-up, Nosepass misses, and we luck ourselves with another bite to KO and win the battle. Fuck, dude, if this battle is this luck-reliant, we're gonna be in for a bumpy ride. Double-checking through PK Hex after this battle as well, Poochyena's special attack IV was 28, meaning even at a perfect 31, I probably would have had the chance to not 4-shot KO the Nosepass, and would have had to invest some EVs using the Wild Ralts on Route 102, but we live to fight another day. After taking down our 4th required battle in the same Team Aqua Grunt from before, we're clear to head to Dewford Town. Thankfully, this houses our perfect out to Brawly in Sableye, a Dark and Ghost type that has no weaknesses at this point in time unless your opponent wastes time and uses Foresight on you. Once we get into Granite Cave though, we almost knock out the sucker with a critical bite, but my luck once again kicks in, allowing for it to barely survive and make it very easy to capture. I name him Disableeye because, well, the nickname works as its gimmick is disabling my opponents. My aimed moveset here is Fake Out, Protect, Confuse Ray, and Shadow Ball. As we're EV training in physical attack, Fake Out and Shadow Ball are going to hit pretty hard, and Fake Out always gets the flinch. Then we can follow up with some status stupidity with Confuse Ray, and maybe even some PowerPoint stalling with Protect, so it's just kind of a defender. Hence why I'm EV training him in 252 attack, 128 special defense, and 124 in HP, with 4 of them going for speed because of accidentally wasting EV space. And oh yeah, another stupid thing with the physical special split not being implemented yet, as Ghost is a physical typing. They really just should have swapped Dark and Ghost around, but hey, I'm not Junichi Masuda, apparently I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, it's not that much of a problem, and I should be able to max out Sableye's EVs before Brawly. By handing Poochyena the EXP share, I can divert half of the EXP away while still getting a full EV on Sableye, especially since Poochyena's not exactly finished with its EV training, and they're both sharing attacks, so why not? This just means I don't have to use Poochyena that much until the gym battle, and it soaks up as much as it can without going over the level cap. She evolves into Mightyena at level 18, gaining the Intimidate ability in the process, but we're not going to need it as Sableye's Ghost typing should do the heavy lifting. Brawly leads with a Machop as I go with Sableye, using Nightshade as he wastes time with Bulk Up, leading to a second as I reciprocate with a second Nightshade. From here, I decide that instead of KOing here, I'm gonna go for a Scratch to get him to waste a Super Potion here, as Makuhita's the only Pokemon that can hit me on this team with Knockoff. However, this leads to Sableye getting hit with a Leer before the Super Potion comes down, and the same Shake, Rattle, and Roll happens as a second Super Potion comes down, leading to Sableye being -2 defense going into Makuhita. Because of this, once Makuhita comes out, I figured I'd swap to Mightyena, bringing my defense back up for Sableye, while also intimidating to lower his attack, though Bulk Up kinda nullifies half of that plan. It's fine though, as he wastes a turn with Sand Attack, while I swap back into Sableye, who has the ability Keen Eye. Blanking his turn as I just keep clicking Nightshade as he goes for another Bulk Up, finally moving over to Knockoff on the next turn, only to do three damage. Three damage. Well, I was worried for nothing. Just gotta click Nightshade until he's dead, and there we go. Mission accomplished. Before we head off of Dewford, I grab the Silk Scarf to boost normal type moves, then head back to Route 101 for more EV training. We've got just enough room now before the May fight on Route 110 to finally max both Mightyena and Sableye out, letting us proceed forward into that fight with reckless abandon. Oh, and the soft sand on Route 109, since Dig is going to be a vital move for Mightyena later on. I also get the TM for Thief in Slateport City, which is a decent filler move for Sableye until we have access to Feint Attack. I don't intend on always having a Dark-type move on him, seeing as we EV trained him in attack after all, but it'll at least be helpful in comparison to Fury swipes. Alright, now we're ready for the May fight. Which is strange, since Bulbapedia's walkthrough very clearly indicates that Numel is out first. Anyway, I go for Sableye first to go for Fake Out, nearly doing half damage and flinching as Nightshade does far less on the follow-up. But May is an idiot and goes for Splash, allowing for the follow-up Critical Thief to KO as Numel comes in second. I'm kinda just clicking buttons here, trying Nightshade for a little less than half, doing it again as Ember hits twice, then finishing her off with Thief as we take a quarter from both of those hits combined. All that's left is Grovyle, and I don't think anything on her moveset is threatening whatsoever, so I just keep clicking Nightshade as she goes for Pursuit, doing 8 and 9 damage respectively before going for Absorb in an ill-fated attempt to get another attack off, all while 3 Nightshades does her in and finishes the fight. Well, that was easy. You know what won't be easy though? Watson! We barely have anything to hit his Pokemon with whatsoever due to him having both a Magnemite and Magneton, and since this isn't Gen 5 or beyond, Steel still resists Dark. After killing Wally beforehand though, we're good to enter the gym and just fight him. I have a very wonky plan, hopefully it works, although I'm very doubtful. I lead off with Mightyena against Magnemite with Rock Smash, a super effective move where I need the defense drop for the 2-shot. It of course goes for the Thunder Wave as the AI is addicted to status moves, but I did get that defense drop on the first Rock Smash, so the held Cherry Berry activates as the second Rock Smash does KO, though we do get a critical to ensure it. Not sure if I needed that, but oh well, as Voltorb comes out second. I'm thinking he won't go for self-destruct on the first turn, but once I realized Bite is a range after flinching, I say screw it and swap out into Sableye since he also has Sonic Boom, giving me a 50% chance of blanking his entire turn and a 25% chance of getting a free KO. Sure enough, I commit to the swap and he uses self-destruct, KOing himself for no damage as we go into Magneton with a fully healed team. I still have my Cherry Berry on Sableye, so after using Fake Out, I go for Nightshade but see that Magneton outspeeds and lands Supersonic. Oh dear, well at least Sableye doesn't hit himself, so I'm good to swap out into Mightyena. This also makes it so that if Magneton goes for Thunder Wave, which it doesn't, and instead goes for Shockwave, we're able to avoid seeing the Cherry Berry used again. Before going back though, I'm gonna risk the critical Shockwave chance and go for a Rock Smash here, just to do enough damage to ensure that Nightshade gets the KO on the Crackback. We take a Thunder Wave in the process, which is perfect, as now Sableye can't get Thunder Waved on the switch in, but he can get hit with a Supersonic, so time to risk getting hit with another critical with Mightyena once we swap back. Then we do the rigmarole, go back into Sableye after Mightyena gets brought down to just 7 HP, being hit with Shockwave for just under half. I'm really hoping he just goes for Thunder Wave here to seal the deal, but I will also take a missed Supersonic, which happens here, allowing for one more Nightshade to take the KO and the match. Wow, even with a full HP team going into Magneton, that was still a nail-biter. I don't think I really could have executed any better either way, too. I was just working with random moves for Magneton, and that lucky self-destruct probably saved the run. But hey, it's not a Chaotic Meatball run if I'm not ridiculously lucky somewhere. Just so happens that we're testing that luck more than I'd like. We don't have much wiggle room going into Flannery's level cap, so I'm still avoiding as many trainers as possible, heading through routes 112 and 113 to get into Philarbor Town, finally letting me enter route 114 to pick up the TM for Dig. If only they let you use Rock Smash outside of battle before Watson, that would have been a very different fight. But I'll 100% take this super effective attack in advance of Flannery. From here, we just clear out Team Aqua from Meteor Falls, then head back over to Route 112 and into Mount Chimney to confront Archie for the first time. However, I do fight a few trainers beforehand to get to level 27. I should have enough flexibility with the cap of 28, but this should give me enough advantage over Archie to make this a clean win. He leads off with Mightyena as I go for Sableye, seeing Intimidate before Fake Out lands for less than I would normally like, but Nightshade isn't affected whatsoever, so I'm fine following a bite. On turn 3, he moronically goes for Sand Attack, negated by Keen Eye as a second Nightshade takes him into the red, leading to a Super Potion on the following turn. Perfect. We KO with 2 more Nightshades as Bite only lands for a little bit under a quarter. Out comes Golbat, and I'm not quite sure how to deal with him. I should probably just go straight for Mightyena here for Intimidate and reserve the rest of Sableye's HP for Sharpedo, but I tough it out, taking a Wing Attack and Detecting as I'm put in range of a critical next turn, with Nightshade doing just under half. A Wing Attack doesn't do much to Mightyena upon switch-in as I just start using Howl here, going to +1 as I shift to Bite due to realizing I need him in range of a KO in case a Supersonic lands. Fortunately, this one misses as he goes back to Wing Attack next turn, so I go for the second Howl as he goes for a Super Potion. Well, shoot, I can't survive 3 Wing Attacks, so I need to get this 3-shot KO from this position with Bite. This ends up going well, but now that Mightyena's at 14 HP, it's a one-shot with Dig or Bust as Sharpedo comes out. I outspeed and avoid Crunch, thankfully. Sharpedo is notoriously fast, and we hit on the next turn, getting that one-shot to KO, surviving the rough skin damage on the Crackback. Whew, can we please stop having these close calls? I'm about ready to have a heart attack. I surely don't need one of those. On our way out though, we can grab the Meteorite, giving me access to the TM for return by going back to Philarbor Town, which should make Mightyena a much better attacker since Dig is only 60 power in this generation. But I don't think I'm going to be putting it on Mightyena yet. I want to wait until Lily Cove City's move deleter to get rid of Rock Smash before I delete any of the other 3 moves. After heading to Lava Town and edging up to the level cap though, we're ready for the battle against Flannery. She leads with Slugma as I go with Mightyena, setting up Howl as she goes for Light Screen. Then I do the same again as she misses with Smog. I have a Pecha Berry equipped in case this hits and somehow poisons me, but that's for a pretty minuscule corner case. I'm able to get a 3rd Howl off as she goes for Sunny Day, and this is where I know I need to go for Dig. This Slugma has Overheat, and there's zero chance that a Sun-boosted Overheat doesn't KO from here, so we KO with Dig, then use our 4th Howl against the second Slugma as she goes for Flamethrower for some massive damage. Sure, we play into the crit, but I don't think I can take out Torkoal without losing a Pokemon in any other way. Afterwards, we dig for the KO on the Slugma, then do the same on Torkoal with the +4 Dig as Overheat misses, getting the one-shot and the win. Easy enough, though it did hinge on that Slugma going for Light Screen and Smog, though I was sort of expecting the former due to being a Dark type and the AI realizing, oh, use Light Screen against the special moves of the Dark type, but the latter was definitely a random move prior to Sunny Day. Once we exit the gym, we're given the Go Goggles by May. Finally, access to another team member in Cacnea on Route 111. But wait, Meatball, didn't you say in the intro that there's only 2 encounters before Norman? Yes, there is, and that's because Cacnea doesn't evolve until level 32 into Cacturne, who's the only half of the evolution line that's a Dark type, and the level cap is 31. Frustrating, but we can at least EV train her using the EXP share, as she does get EVs from that method of training once we finish the required trainers inside of Norman's gym. Plus, after finishing this, Cacnea becomes an EXP sink for fighting trainers and generating money, a great thing when we have to play under a level cap and only have access to 2 Pokemon for the time being. We're going to be EV training Cacnea in Special Attack and Speed, seeing as Grass and Dark are both special attacking types, so Needle Arm and Feint Attack will be pretty strong. Not to mention, Cacnea has access to Growth, a move that exclusively boosts Special Attack in Gen 3, making it the perfect pairing with those stab typings, and for the cherry on top, there's even Leech Seed for some semi-consistent healing during setup turns with Growth. If only we could have Protect on this moveset, then it would be perfect. Or Leftovers to substitute for Leech Seed. With Cacnea's EV training done though, we're clear to fight Norman. This fight is absolutely trivial thanks to 2 things, Sableye having Detect, and Mightyena having Dig. These are both able to bypass both of the Slacking's Truant abilities, making his Vigoroth the only real threat. The first Slacking takes barely any damage from Dig, which is unfortunate, as I have to use 5 of them before a Hyper Potion is used, then the other 5 are used before I resort to Rock Smash, hitting that in a bite following a Yawn to KO, allowing Mightyena's held Chesto Berry to wake her up. Probably should have just gone for the held Lepa Berry for 20 power points of Dig, then using Howl on the Hyper Potion turns to ensure I didn't run out of points, but hindsight is 20/20. The KO leads into Slacking number 2 as I go for Rock Smash, as he has Focus Punch, and sure enough, this is enough for me to just KO as the AI only goes for the super effective attack, something he will never land because I will always attack. Even on the Truant turns despite having Howl right there and ripe for the clicking. Not a problem though, as I'm full HP going into Vigoroth, hitting 2 Rock Smashes as he goes for Facade and a critical slash, doing half damage to Mightyena as I swap into Sableye, blanking his turn, then hitting a Fake Out to bring him into the red. Another Hyper Potion is used here as I start going for Feint Attack, beginning the Feint Attack Wars of 2023 for a few turns, until Sableye comes out on top due to our EV training in Special Defense and HP, KOing after a few turns and winning the fight. Still, it would have been easier with Mightyena, but sometimes I don't think things through. Surprising though, that sounds like the best Unga Bunga strategy I could have gone with. With the 5th badge in hand, we're finally able to grab 2 more team members. By teaching Mudkip Surf, I can cross the water on Route 118 and talk to this fisherman to get the Good Rod, which right here on Route 118 I can fish up a Carvana, which I nicknamed Cruncher due to having no creativity whatsoever. Going back to Route 102 gives me access to Corphish, who can't be used until evolving into Cronon at level 30, so we'll have to give it the Cacnea treatment. But I nickname it Crawler because the K-names are fine, and it's a Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference. You ever have a Crawler's spine resolve against you? No? Alright, well, you are a Pokemon viewer, I understand why. Our last one is going to be Absol on Route 120, but we're not going to be getting that one for a little bit. For now, it's time for EV training again. Carvana is going to be a mixed attacker due to the Water and Dark typings being special, while also having access to the Ice Beam TM via coverage. But what about the 4th move for the physical side? Well, at first I was gonna go with Slash, but once we get into Seafloor and Cavern, I was gonna replace that with the TM for Earthquake, so there's the 4 move set right there. Crawdaunt, though, will be a physical attacker. I'm not putting a single Water or Dark type move on him. Instead, we've got a ton of coverage like Sludge Bomb, Aerial Ace, Return, Brick Break, and the move that makes it all tick, Swords Dance. Plenty enough to understand why we're going with that EV spread. With the EV training done and over with thanks to the EXP share, we're good to start clearing out the rest of the region from trainers. I have to get Cacnea and Corphish to evolve, and I've only got one level before the cap on Sableye and Mightyena, with Carvanha being the only other usable Pokemon for now. We'll be cutting it close for sure, but it's worth it. The reason being that we need a ton of money for some TMs from the Mauville Game Corner. None of my current Pokemon can get them, but Absol gets access to Flamethrower and Thunderbolt, while Sharpedo can also get access to Ice Beam, but Absol also gets Calm Mind, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Hilariously though, I completely forgot that you can get access to Ice Beam via the Abandoned Ship and Thunderbolt from New Mauville without having to go to the Game Corner, so all I actually have to buy is Flamethrower and a second copy of Ice Beam for Sharpedo. Finally though, Cacnea evolves on Route 114, Carvanha on Route 105, and Corphish on Route 119. Perfect timing as Sharpedo is getting close to the level cap, letting me run through the rest of the route and the Weather Institute, leading to our next rival battle. May is leading off with Numel this time, correctly unlike the last battle, as I go with Crawdon, misclicking Sludge Bomb instead of Surf so that she can hit me with a weak magnitude 6, but no matter as I'm not staying in against her Grovyle once I KO it with Surf, and it's out second. I should be able to effectively pivot here though into Cacturne to take the Leaf Blade, then into Sableye to take Fury Cutter seeing as it's 4 times super effective on Cacturne, but instead she goes for Screech. As I bring in Sableye. Well, that's fine, I can hit it with Fake Out, it gets a critical doing around 80% damage, which is insane, then Nightshade does her in after Leaf Blade does a little over half damage. Good thing that's special in this generation. Third and last out is Wailmer, in which I use Detect, then swap into Cacturne to take a critical Water Pulse that also confuses. Well then, so much for that plan of hitting it for super effective damage. How about Sharpedo? Well, we take a third from that one and get confused again. Well, okay, how about the third time's the charm with Crawdon? How about another f***ing critical that confuses? Come on, dude, that's ridiculous. Thankfully, I had the accidental Persim Berry on Crawdon that was initially on there for the fight with Sherry in the Weather Institute, therefore going unused, but this allows for my follow-up critical Sludge Bomb to KO and win the fight. God, don't put up so much of a fight next time. You almost have as good a luck as I do. Well, before we can take on Winona, I figured I'd head to Route 120 to grab the Devon Scope, since there's a Kecleon in the way, but after clearing out the gym trainers, I wanted to take on the trainers on Routes 120 and 121 before arriving in Lily Cove City, since I have enough room for the EXP, and because I wanted to finally delete Rock Smash off of Mightyena and cut from Crawdon. Finally, I'm good to capture Absol on Route 120, nicknaming it Cutter to complete the trio of K nicknames, which in hindsight was perhaps just a little bit of a massive mistake considering the unintentional connotation. Then EV train it in special attack against the level 4 Ralts on Route 102, yielding 40 EXP each, and the aforementioned level 2 Zigzagoons on Route 101. Perfect. The full team has been assembled, no more encounters remain, and we're good to fight Winona. She leads off with Swellow as I go with our newly obtained Absol, taking an Aerial Ace before firing off a Thunderbolt for the one-shot. Not the best first showing, but understandable that an Absol would be outsped by a Swellow. The rest of the team kinda starts falling like flies though, as Pelipper is a one-shot with Thunderbolt following a Protect, and Skarmory is nearly a one-shot with Thunderbolt as it uses Sand Attack. Now, I don't really want to play with accuracy, so I swap into Sharpedo as she uses a Hyper Potion, then KO with 2 Surfs, following an Aerial Ace that does under half. This is also that I can make sure to be in with a Pokemon that has Ice Beam on her last Pokemon, Altaria, with a quad-effective attack to seal the deal and the win, giving me the 6th badge, and more importantly, the TM for Aerial Ace, which should be going on Crawdon right after I delete Surf off of this moveset. Alright, finally a substantial jump in level cap, and right before the surfing routes, so I can get that EXP and extra money as well. Mount Pyre's a breeze, giving me the red orb and allowing me to quickly take a detour down to Route 123 to grab TM19 Giga Drain for Cacturne, a perfect filler move until we get Needle Arm, a move that has the same 60 base power, but has 10 more power points and a 30% chance to flinch a la Waterfall. From there, I head back into Lily Cove City for our last rival battle of the run. She's added Swellow to her team as a lead here as I go with Absol, and this time, no attack occurs, instead she uses Double Team and I KO with Thunderbolt. Serves her right for copying Winona's lead. Second out is Grovyle, who nearly goes down to an Ice Beam. However, she does hang on by a thread, but counterpoint, you've been frozen solid, KOing next turn with a bite. Third out is Numel, who just gets nailed with an Ice Beam before going for Amnesia, but it's not enough of a special defense increase as a second wraps that camel into the coffin. This leaves just Whalmer to fall to a Thunderbolt and give me the win. Easy enough, and still baffling that she doesn't have a fully evolved starter, but I guess they do fix it in the remakes. One trip back to Slateport and through the Aqua Hideout later, and we're clear to head into the abyss of water routes. There's not actually enough trainers to get to the level cap for Tate and Liza around any of these routes. All of the trainers are not enough, but hey, that's fine. I didn't intend on getting to level 42 anyway, considering Wallace's level cap is 43. They're quite a sad duo though, only having 2 Pokemon in Solrock and Lunatone, and thanks to my combination of Sharpedo and Sableye, we have a super easy time. I go for Surf with Sharpedo and Fake Out with Sableye on Lunatone to prevent any screens from being set up, as Solrock uses Sunny Day, but it's not enough to reduce Surf's damage to prevent Solrock's KO, bringing Lunatone down to just a sliver. Well, I'd say the fight is done and dusted following a Shadow Ball, but Lunatone's able to hit a Hypnosis on Sableye before my attack can connect. So I commit to the trifecta of Surfs as Lunatone is healed with a Hyper Potion, leaving the 4th and final Surf to seal the deal and win me the Mind Badge, as well as the TM for Calm Mind. Slap that sucker on Absol, we're ready to sweep away the dust I create from zapping, melting, and freezing all at the same time. Right after the gym, we're good to enter Seafloor Cavern, wiping the floor with the grunts, Shelly, then grabbing the TM for Earthquake right before fighting Archie for the final time. He leads off with Mightyena as I go with Absol, taking Intimidate, but who cares? I have the power of Calm Mind. He goes for Scary Face and misses, and since I don't want to be slowed down, I go for the Thunderbolt following the +1 boost, but still can't get the one-shot. Oh well, at least following the Scary Face that does land, he goes for the Super Potion on the follow-up, letting me waste his item as a critical Thunderbolt KOs anyway, leading to Crobat. This super effective blast is able to KO following Confuse Ray negated by a Person Berry, leading to Sharpedo. It can't really do much, going for a slash that doesn't even get a critical, and even if it did, it wouldn't have KO'd due to the regular attack doing less than half damage, allowing Thunderbolt to KO on the Crackback and seal the deal in the win. Can't say that wasn't expected at this point in the game, but with him awakening Kyogre, we're good to Master Ball it, then release it back into the wild to wreak havoc once more, and this time I'm not fixing it. Do it yourself after I take your title, Steven. Well, I do need one more badge to get to Steven, and that bad boy is coming from Wallace. He leads off with Love Disc as I go with Cacturn and Growth, dodging Sweet Kiss on turn 1 and holding a Person Berry for the turn 2 connect as Growth gets Cacturn to +2 special attack. This allows Needlearm to get a one-shot KO on both Love Disc and his second Pokemon Celio, getting to Milotic third, but not quite one-shotting. I mean, these things are hulking behemoths, but 30% flinch chance go burr, as does a critical Needlearm following the Hyper Potion to one-shot from full, leaving just Seaking and Whiscash both to be bodied by one Needlearm apiece to win me the fight at full HP. Well, it's a competent team, but it was felled by our major weakness. Folks, it's just too easy. Straight after beating Wallace though, I always make sure to train up to around level 52 or 53, just because we have a cap of 55 and it makes Victory Road such a breeze, including the battle at the end against Wally. Wait, didn't I kill him the first time? Wally leads with Altaria as I go with Sharpedo, murdering it with Ice Beam and doing the same to Roselia on turn 2. Third out is Magneton, and well, ain't that a swell Earthquake target, leading to Delcatty. Now, if I hadn't misclicked, this would be a one-shot sweep as Ice Beam doesn't quite get the KO as she lands Sing. But since Wally is stupid and didn't buy Hyper Potions for this fight, he uses 2 back-to-back Hyper Potions during the turn Sharpedo's asleep, allowing for him to wake up on the third turn and KO with a Surf, leaving just Gardevoir to be eaten by Crunch. Well, that ought to finish the job. Alright then, just a few preparations and it's time for the quick team recap. We've got Crawdaunt here with Swords Dance, Brick Break, Return, and Aerial Ace. Sludge Bomb really didn't serve a purpose in the league, and the thing it does, aka KO grass types against Sydney, Aerial Ace just does better without worrying about accuracy. Sableye is second with Fake Out, Protect, Confuse Ray, and Shadow Ball, just like I described earlier in the video as the ideal moveset, and it hasn't changed. Cacturn with Needlearm, Growth, Leech Seed, and Feint Attack, another one that I already described the ideal moveset for. Absol with Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Bite, and Calm Mind. Now, Bite is still here for Phoebe, but once we pass her, we'll be replacing it with the TM for Flamethrower that I purchased earlier. 5th is Sharpedo with Ice Beam, Earthquake, Surf, and Crunch, again the 3rd moveset I described earlier in the video, since I try to leave no stone unturned. And finally, Mightyena with Dig, Howl, Crunch, and Return. This moveset sucks, but hey, at least we get Intimidate, so it can't be too mad. Do you think we will get through this league without any deaths? Well, if you think so, leave a comment below, and if you haven't left a comment below yet, how about you predict which team member goes down, or if none at all, then just predict that, then reply to see if you were right or not. After all, comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. First up is Sydney, and wow, Crawdaunt is really good at getting away with murder, as the ability Hypercutter negates his lead Mightyena's Intimidate, allowing for one sword stance to get set up as he goes for takedown, doing minimal damage as I'm able to KO Mightyena with Brick Break, Cacturn with Aerial Ace, Shiftry also with Aerial Ace, Sharpedo with Brick Break, then following Rough Skin damage, Absol with Brick Break to win the fight with minimal damage. Oh, how's that for a sweep? Second in the league is Phoebe, who's best handled by Sableye at the helm against her lead Dusclops, getting utterly ass-blasted out of existence with a Shadow Ball on turn 1 before being able to do anything. Second out is Bayonet, who does outspeed and hit Shadow Ball for a little over a third, as our reciprocal Shadow Ball gets the KO, putting us up 6-3 as she sends out her own Sableye. Well, I'm not really confident with my Sableye's HP at the moment, so following a Protect, I send out Cacturn to take a Shadow Ball, taking a second following a Needle Arm, failing the flinch that gets a critical hit to take Cacturn to a little under half HP. The second Needle Arm, though, does get the KO as Dusclops number 2 comes in, and this thing's got Ice Beam, which I'm expecting this turn. So I swap into Sharpedo to tank it with Resistance, then fire off Crunch on the Crackback to try to take the KO, though we barely miss it. Earthquake hits for massive damage in response, but following Dusclops' Citrus Berry, we're able to get the KO by outspeeding and hitting a second Crunch, leaving just Bayonet number 2. Since I don't want Sharpedo getting hit with an errant critical hit, I swap into Absol to tank Shadow Ball, though the special defense drop ends up happening. Oh wait, it doesn't matter due to Shadow Ball being physical. I don't get it still, but I still swap out into Mightyena so that I could get her leveled up to level 56, due to being edged up, taking the knockout following a Toxic with Crunch for the win. A little more complex of a battle compared to Sydney. Well, more like a lot more, but it wasn't too bad. However, I think this might be the most complex battle of the entire league. See, once we replace Absol's Bite for the Flamethrower TM, we're ready for Glacia, but he's the backup plan. Crawdaunt's once again in the lead here for that Brick Break, unaffected by her Celio and Walreign's Thick Fat ability. I set up the first sword stance as she goes for Hail with her lead Glalie, allowing for me to set up a second one as an Ice Beam barely does any damage. Now I'm not going to go overkill here since we only need to get to +4, so then I go ahead and start firing off Brick Breaks to KO Glalie, Celio number 2, Walreign, and Glalie number 2, all with 1 apiece to sweep her up into the dustpan. All that remains is Drake, and while I did want to set up a Calm Mind sweep with Absol, a turn 1 Rock Tomb following my first Calm Mind that got a critical hit brought those machinations to an end. Though I am able to KO Shelgon, Altaria, and both Flygons with 1 Ice Beam each, that speed drop is going to eat me alive against Salamence. Sandstorm was set up by the first Flygon though, so my backup plan cannot survive yet. So I swap into Sableye to tank a Flamethrower for a little over half, flinching with Fake Out and using Protect to stall out the Sandstorm, then finally swapping out into Sharpedo to barely survive a Shadow Claw on 5 HP, and this is why we needed to run out that Sandstorm, so we can outspeed next turn to deliver an Ice Beam for the KO and the win. It was almost a clean sweep, but seeing any move besides Protect from Drake's Shelgon on turn 1 is kind of a massive surprise. I wasn't even intending on using more than 1 Calm Mind, I just thought I could get away with it since 99.9% of the time, he leads with Protect. I'll just chalk it up to the game reading my inputs again and being an asshole, but we're at the champion now, so we should be fine. We have a title to take from him so that little Steven can go stop Kyogre himself, because I'm a very petty man, and he is not going to get away with it. I'm leading my Pecha Berry equipped Absol against his lead Skarmory, setting up Calm Mind once against his Spikes, twice against Steel Wing, which does a little under half damage, thrice against his Mist Steel Wing, and the 4th and final time against his Toxic as it gets negated by my Pecha Berry. From there, we win. as Thunderbolt KOs Skarmory, Flamethrower burns through Armaldo, Gladeol is frozen and shattered by Ice Beam, Aggron's melted by Flamethrower, Cradilly is freeze-dried by Ice Beam, and last but not least, Metagross is burned and smelted into my new title belt with Flamethrower, winning me the match and the title of champion. Finally got that clean Absol sweep at the end too. I was worried I wasn't going to be able to pull that off. However, that was kind of anticlimactic. The early bits of the run from gyms 1 through 4 were pretty heart palpitating, but once we got some Pokemon, it kind of fell like a ton of bricks, especially because of the amount of water and grass types that were available because of Hoenn having so many of them. Absol was definitely the late game MVP though, being able to get the literal embodiment of Tri-Attack and was better off for it, despite Flamethrower not being used until the champion. But with that, check this one off the list of monotype hardcore Nuzlocks that need to be done. Next time though, we'll be jumping back into the fray of the franchise Nuzlocke with no repeats when I take on Sun and Moon. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.